This time we're taking a second look at Greensburg, Pennsylvania in 1799, the year of the first census there. This was the town then, not very big. We see Otterman Street, Pittsburgh Street, Main Street, and the next thing we see will be right down in here in this area on West Pittsburgh Street. It was the Truby pottery, a place where pottery, ceramic objects were made. What's going on here, there's a horse mill that prepares the clay that was fired in the kiln here. The clay had to be mixed with material that was a bit harder, sometimes older pieces of ceramic that were broken up, or bits of stone were smashed up in very small bits called frit and mixed with the clay, and it would be treated with a mill like this to make it into a condition that it could be useful to be put in the kiln, fired, and make into useful objects like this. The things they were making were not very sophisticated. They were like plates to eat off of, jugs to put your beer in, or things to contain anything that you had to carry or eat from. The owner of this property was Christopher Truby. Originally, the earlier Christopher Truby, the older one, was one of the founders of the town, and he sold his pottery to his younger son, also named Christopher. And get a look at what it looks like. And we see the area on which West Pittsburgh Street where the pottery used to sit. This house, as old as it is, was probably built there later. Now this is a map I put together to show the area. This right over here was the pottery area. This is where Christopher Truby's original pottery was at the time of the census, 1799. And right across the street was the Coons Tannery. And they lived right above their tannery, amazingly. Tanneries were normally very foul-smelling places. I wouldn't want to live next door to one. The European cities used to have ordinances that would say you could never build a tannery downwind of the town or the city. This is my attempt to show what the tannery looked like based on mapping and what courthouse deeds I could find. John Kuhns ran the place, he and his family. The Kuhns family lived here. The Weldy family lived next door. Old Henry Weldy worked in the tannery at times as a skin dresser. We're looking at West Pittsburgh Street. This alley here is now known as Union Alley or Street. John Kuhns was in 1799 the sheriff, but he owned that tannery, and he probably had his family working in there while he was busy being a sheriff. And you notice he had $972 of taxable property, which was very significant. As a matter of fact, William Harris, the brickmaker, was the only man in town with this much taxable property, 1,110. That was the most that anybody in the whole town had. Some time ago, I took part in the excavation of a tannery that had been underground for a long time. And that's what it looked like by the time we got to it. It had been seriously damaged and underground for a long time. This was a pipe. These were drain holes. This was a plug still in one of the drain holes. These were the vats that had been filled with water and combinations of water and bark, oak bark and hemlock bark. That's what the skins, the animal skins, were soaked in to convert them into leather. We are looking at the corner where the Coons Tannery once upon a time sat. on West Pittsburgh Street and the alley called Union. Now here is that same area. This is where the Coons Tannery used to sit, and this is mapping put together by the courthouse tax mapping office, and this is a map of exactly the same area that I put together based on very old courthouse deeds to show how the property was then divided and who was where. This is the Weldys, this is the Kuhns, Jacob Hugus, the Pershings down here. And you see they own property the whole way from Pittsburgh Street up to Otterman Street. Now we go up to the corner of Pennsylvania and West Pittsburgh. We're sitting about right here, this area right here. And I stopped there because one of the most interesting and creative, inventive characters named Jacob Hugus, H-U-G-U-S, had his house and shop on that corner. He was a clockmaker. He made clocks. Right there. He made them and fixed them, and he also invented devices that were helpful in the production of fabric, carding machines, and he also was the person who had the first steam engine in the area in 1822, later than the time we're talking about now. He installed a steam engine in his mill a couple miles to the east of town. This shows Hugus's advertisement right after he moved into his place that I showed you, the air location. He had been in town earlier, but he not in that location. He describes his place as being on Main Street, and you should be aware that Pittsburgh Street was not always Pittsburgh Street. It went by other names, as did other town streets, and also the numbers changed. And I think we're at a time now I should say so long and continue this in another one. We'll have one or two more of these on Greensburg in 1799. And I'm going to shut down now and say so long.